Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of our Salem by Night series. I am your storyteller. My name is Will, and tonight we have a very special episode as we introduce our newest member of our Anarch Coterie. He is an old friend, an old vampire player from back in the original editions, back when we actually sacrificed virgins to our dice gods. He's an aspiring voice actor. He helped out in many a theater productions when we were together in the university, and he is an avid martial artist who still has rumors about his prowess flowing through several circles of friends. Everyone, please welcome to the game Mr. Eric Jacobs. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Go on.
So we played Vampire. I don't think we ever played Vampire together. So this is a special treat for me.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think we did.
But
D&D, Star Wars, a couple of others.
I do remember the first time we met was because I wanted to join your Vampire game, and Chad's first words out of his mouth to me were, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
That sounds like him.
So, you played first and second edition. You said you skipped out on Requiem, which is a good move, I think, on your part.
I read up on the books. They had such a rich mythology in the first place. It felt wrong that the way they just sort of threw it all away. I mean, and the changes they made to the clans and stuff themselves, that was okay. But I mean, they had it going all the way back from the Bible. I mean, the Old Testament, chapter 1. And then they're just throwing away that whole story for it. I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Trust me. So this is 5th edition, so it's come through a couple cycles. I did hear that Requiem 2nd edition fixed a lot, so much so that they've kept some of the themes going into 5th edition. I still
wrap my face like pumpkin pie, but I'll never know.
Yeah, yeah. So we've tackled some of the things that we're going to be dealing with, and just so the audience is aware, there is going to be a bit of a learning curve because this is the first vampire game that you've come back to in almost two decades.
As fast as possible. Almost, yeah, decade and a half like that, and I've been reading as quickly as possible, but yeah, I'm still kind of lost.
Yeah. So there will be training wheels in this session. We're not going to be handling the session 0 like we did for everyone else. We don't need to see you becoming a vampire. You're a vampire player, you know what the clan is like, and you've read up on the differences. So we can jump right into the actual meat of the situation and sink our teeth, pun intended, into an actual story. So you've been helping your sire create these routes throughout the northwestern American coastline. You have a good bead on the tri-state area of Washington State, Oregon, and Wyoming. It's been rough moving east on the north end of America as lupines have infested that whole area. Much to your chagrin and to your sire's chagrin. But you've found that through the south, down through California and Nevada, the desert is your friend. There's not a lot of lupines that'll fight over sand, it seems like.
Alan Strider's in the area.
Yeah. So at most, you might have to worry about the one renegade kind of mage group that has designs of creating a chantry out in the middle of nowhere to be safe. But those are few and far between. The big thing that's called you back is Jonathan Meyer. He's calling in a bunch of people to Salem. There's never been a kind of request like this on this level. And given that you have just recently helped bring in someone from Washington into Salem, it behooved you to kind of find out what the situation is like. So Benny and you have decided to kind of stick around. So much so that you awaken one night to the familiar sound of the motorcycle turning over and that hum that kind of echoes in the back of this kind of old mover's van. And as you kind of move away the false wall to reveal one of your kind of safe spaces, you see that he's slowly wheeling out his motorcycle onto the city streets. You recognize that you're in West Salem. You're definitely across the Willamette River, in the safe zone for anarchs. He sees that you are coming to as he kind of sets his bike aside and lets it kind of hum for a moment, because it's been a while since you've been on the open road with him. And he kind of looks up at you, tips his hat.
How's it look, Benny?
I was about to start your bike. It's a good thing you came too. And as you do, one of the new mechanics that you get to play out for the first time is making a rouse check to wake up.
Okay.
So you're going to roll one of your dice, 6 or higher, and you awaken without increasing your hunger. Less than 6, and the beast starts to snarl.
What about exactly 6?
That means that you are not hungry. So your hunger stays at 1 for tonight. And Benny does not look like a snack to you. But he tosses you the keys. He's like, I'm going to go see what Johnny wants. You want me to let him know you're coming, or?
Yeah. Give me about an hour to get myself together. Let him know I'm on the way.
Yeah. There's a bar across the bridge called The Last Call. Apparently it's owned by one of your kind. He didn't say much about it.
Oh, joke. Okay. I'll have to go take a look over there then.
Yeah, that's where I'm headed. I'll send word if there's something to worry about.
All right, I'll only be a few minutes behind you. Just take a little time to get myself together.
Yeah. Take your time. I'll let the boys, girls know you're coming. And he kind of gives you a finger gun, puts on his helmet, and rides off. The van is left to you. Inside you, of course, on the top parts of the walls, you can see the typical kind of weapons that you've amassed given the time period. Yeah, you can still see some rifles, you can see some shotguns, a couple of guns, and of course, the false shelf to kind of get at the little bit of ammo that you've got left from the last big hurrah. Are you going to take anything with you?
I'll take one of the pistols if we have a 1911, some sort of autoloader like that.
Yeah. You have a regular kind of Beretta that you can take with you.
That'll work. It's like that. Take a magazine or two. What do we have? Depending, if we got enough ammo left and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you have enough to spare a couple magazines, like one inside and one for backup. Is that doable.
I'm not planning on spilling any blood tonight in that sense of the word, but you never know.
You never know in the world of darkness.
You do. You're real.
Yeah, you really do. But sure enough, you kind of stretch out, get your bearings. You can see that Benny has parked in one of the northwest kind of not campsites, but it is a refuge for transients. Um, Parked out to the side, and as you kind of look around and get a sense of your surroundings, there's a little bit of a tent city that's formed, and you can smell the transient scent. These are not people that have homes per se, or that have access to kind of regular showers and hot meals. Like you can see the weight of desperation and the kind of chains that a hard life and difficult choices, wrong choices, some would say, has taken their toll on these people. None of them seem to give you any mind, though. And as Benny kind of drives off, you can see that some of them will look to see where the noise is coming from, but then they just go back to their business. It is a kind of nice energy to have, given what you do. What kind of bike do you have? What does it look like? Describe it for me.
The Harley, was it Softail, I believe they call them.
Nice.
Lean back, yeah. Picture something like similar to what Dennis Hopper had going on in Easy Rider.
Okay.
Yeah, not the giant out here where I'm hanging from my handlebars.
Yeah. So no bat wings.
Yeah, no bat wings. Single headlight, very classic lines on the bike. Something that you wouldn't look at a place in World War II. Just more chrome and more leather now.
Yeah. As you turn her over, she comes to. You can tell that during the day, Benny must have taken a good look at both of them. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment where you think to yourself, it's like, it's a good thing that he didn't turn out to be a shithead.
God bless the intelligent. They're so rare.
They're so rare. But sure enough, you manage to kind of pull it out of the back of this trailer. You close up the ramp, lock it up, and you kind of take off. Where do you want to go? Because the night is young. Like, the sun has set maybe an hour ago. It's April, so you're looking at it's about 9 o'clock. You got all of Salem ahead of you.
Well, I think I'll stay in West Salem for the moment. If I'm only going to be due about in an hour to the bar, then I'm thinking to cruise around the Anarch territory, see what's going on in this section of town.
Okay. As you're driving around, you can see that West Salem is very kind of built up around the nature that surrounds it. It is kind of the forgotten part of the city, as Salem has stretched out more towards the east, away from the mountains. But you can tell the telltale signs. You can see the telltale signs of just what it is to not be in a Camarilla city, as far as West Salem is concerned. It's not
almost noticeable in the past, and just even the passive urban neglect of just the city just stopped growing here.
Yeah.
Almost, yeah. Like its arteries were cut, and it's just other parts of the city are prospering and that sort of thing, but not here.
Yeah, most cities will have the eastern border being where kind of like the poor tend to congregate, and it's the reverse here in Salem. It's not to say that it's all kind of shitholes and broken down, dilapidated houses. It's got its fair share of like a rich neighborhood or a kind of fancy set of streets. And as you kind of drive around, right around the city, you hear in the distance, as you kind of get closer to the river, that there is a bit of howling that comes from the south.
Sound like dogs, or does it sound like something a little bit louder, maybe a little wilder?
It at first you think it's just a pack of dogs that are just running loose, and then as you kind of really stop the motorcycle to hear, you realize that it's a little bigger. These are bigger animals.
Which direction are they? For me, which way am I hearing them from?
They're coming from the south, and it sounds like they're coming north. Like, it sounds like they're hunting.
Does it sound like they're actively heading towards me, or just? I mean, they're just making noise, rousy as they go.
No, they're just making noise as they ride, as they run.
Okay, so I was about to say as they ride.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to run into a pack of lupines tonight, just in case.
Yeah.
So, which direction was I currently headed?
You were headed south. You were heading south from the north end where Benny had kind of parked the truck. So now it's like, do you skirt more towards the east and follow the river, or do you kind of just call your expedition here? Because it sounds like they're heading more northwest than you are currently. Like they're really riding that mountain range, it sounds like.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna actively stay away from them for the moment. I'm currently alone, so that's a great way to cut dead K-Nights too.
Yep.
But
Okay.
yeah. No, actually, I think I'm gonna follow a little bit towards the west and head up north, but then sweep back across towards the east if I can.
Okay. Sure enough.
Just to listen in for a while, but I'll keep my distance.
Of course. As you do, you hear them kind of chasing you as you do get west, as you do drive out further west. But it doesn't raise any of the hackles on the back of your neck just yet. And after you start to swing back around, hitting the north side of town, you can see that there's a plume of smoke coming from the somewhere southwest of you. You can only imagine that they must have found something or someone to divert their attention.
Vaya con Diablos to whoever they found.
Yeah, but the howling has definitely stopped.
Okay, yeah, it's crunch, all full of bones in the.
Where do you want to go now? Because you can't go back south now that you know that they've kind of.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna cycle head over towards the east. See if I can sweep a little more before I head back to the bar. I mean, I only had an hour in the first. We're assuming I've been at this for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes already.
Yeah, easily.
Okay, so then just by that alone, I should start sweeping back just to be there on time.
Yeah, and you're not beholden to any kind of clock, but
yeah, I'm beholden to the sun though, and if I want to have the rest of the evening to myself, I have to get my business handled. And if I said I'd be there in an hour and I'm not, well, what does that say about my reliability?
Touche.
Yeah, I've got enough reliability problems being this clan.
Yeah, and as you're heading south, you see somebody kind of, excuse me, as you're riding, kind of, they yell out to you, and you see their hand kind of like, the second they recognize you, their hand comes up to kind of stop you, and they call out to you, it's like, hey! Do you want to stop or do you want to keep going?
Recognize them at all?
Let's do a roll for you. And let's do wits and awareness. So it's a 6-die pool. So you're gonna have 5 regular dice and 1 hunger dice.
I got 5 on me right now. Someone's gonna have to do a little repeat performance if you don't mind.
Yeah. So this will be your 5 regular dice.
Yes, these will be the 5 regular dice.
Number 6 or higher is a success.
Then I got 2 successes. I have a 9, a 7, and then a 5, 3, and a 5.
Okay, so 2 successes so far. Roll the hunger dice.
Die. 7.
Alright, so 3 successes. So, sure enough, you recognize him as Joshua Allens. He's the gangrel whip.
Salem.
Yep.
All right, yeah, no, then I will definitely I'll have to pull over to him.
Okay. So he waves at you. And as you pull over, he kind of runs up to where you stop. He's like, I didn't know you and your sire were in town. Is he in town, or is it just you that's gracing us with your presence?
Just me for the moment. Sire should be along pretty shortly.
All right. Are you working a job for us?
Correction, I was working a job. However, they have been contacting me about getting in touch with them for another one. So this is actually where I'm headed now.
All right. All right. As long as you're keeping your fangs clean.
As clean as we can, Allens. As clean as we can.
All right. I don't want any trouble. All right. I have enough to deal with on this side of the bridge. I don't know if you heard, but there's a hunting party.
I heard him on the wind earlier.
Mm.
Somewhere south and west of here, someone got themselves a little bit torched.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Did the best I could to protect as many of our kind as possible, but it's tough to satiate a beast that big.
Let alone more than one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how they do. It's rough out there, so keep your ears open, keep your eyes open, and let me know if you're gonna be doing anything fucking shady before you do anything fucking shady.
I'll let you know, Allens. I'll let you know. Punta las pilas.
I appreciate that. You get on going. I'm gonna see if there's anybody else that needs help up here. And you see him kind of start to
Sorry
walk
about
away.
that. I was getting out a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, he just tells you to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, keep your head down. And he's gonna let you be about your business, and he's gonna look around to see if there's anybody else that needs any help.
Well, if I'm starting to run into people of note, I should probably start heading for the bar now.
Okay.
Especially with the column of smoke in the distance, people will be up and talking. So,
Yeah.
best to get where some others of my own kind are, be they the free souls or the local Canaanites.
Touche. So you take off back towards the bridge, and you cross the Willamette River into Salem proper. And even on the riverfront, which is kind of the more wild part of the city, you see the difference just crossing the bridge. Even the last call, which has about a dozen and a half bikes parked out front, still has that look of, yeah, it's a dive bar, but it looks like a classy dive bar. The front is not grimy. There's a good kind of OCD collection of posters for bands that might have performed at one point here.
Gentrification.
All of them local. But sure enough, you recognize a couple of the people that are there. They have beer bottles in one hand. Some of them have cigarettes in the other. Some of them have other things that appear like cigarettes in the other. And there is the whiff of camaraderie and happiness that kind of permeates the group.
Nothing quite like family, is it?
Yeah. One of them looks at you as like, ah, Barker, the Grim Reaper's looking for you inside.
Reaper, where is he?
Yeah. Benny said you're coming, so they're upstairs in the private room.
I'll be headed there.
As you open the door to the last call, there's a small stairway, maybe about 6 feet high. It's not a big climb, but it does kind of set the bar at a different height. And as you climb up, you can see that there are round tables with a couple of patrons. There's a pool table. There's a single lane of darts, and there's a foosball table. Behind the bar, you see this huge, kind of like 6'4", could easily be a basketball player if he wanted to. Just a skinny, scrawny, kind of black kid with these Coca-Cola thick glasses and this kind of loose mop of hair that just goes in any which way. And he just kind of looks over at you, like, "Hey, mister," and he sounds like he is 10 years too young to be here. But he's like, "What can I get you?"
Backwards ID check. Who are you?
And from underneath the bar, you see a blonde who is maybe about 5'9", 5'10". She looks like she was putting away some bottles, and as she stands up, you can see that she has this ripped undershirt, this flannel kind of long sleeve shirt with the sleeves rolled up, the front tied off in like a very Daisy Duke fashion, jeans that look like they were painted on, and just these kind of like thick boots that come up to about halfway up her shin. And she looks at you, she smiles, and she's like, "I'll be goddamned."
Hell evening, doll. Am I recognizing her?
Yeah, this is Samantha Crushing. Let me make sure I got that name right. Where is she? There she is. Yeah, Samantha Crushing. She's the owner of the last call. She's the one that kind of enforces an air of Elysium, even though this isn't an Elysium. She's a Bruja. Tough as nails. And surlier than a sailor.
Just how I like them.
But she just looks over at him and she's like, "I'll handle this one, Mick. You go get some more beer so I can pack them away. It looks like there's gonna be a big night tonight."
Sam, how's business been doing?
She smiles and she kind of points at the non-bikers in the crowd, which are like 4 of them, and she goes, "I mean, thanks to you and your boys, it's much better. I'm not bored tonight."
Really? It's not often the presence of bikers would be appreciated by some of the bars we drink at, but nice to hear nonetheless.
Yeah, well, you boys have always behaved yourselves, and you've always helped me if there's trouble arises, which is usually brought about by just you and your daddy. Is he going to be joining us tonight?
To my knowledge, no. Daddy is on the walkabout.
Oh. I heard you boys brought in a big fish from out of town. Any truth to that?
Every so often, some fish needs to go from one pond to another, and someone needed to get an out of state trip. So, when in doubt, call the free souls. You'll find yourself a free soul.
She leans in and kind of motions for you to come closer. And she looks at you. She's like, is it true it's one of these dragons?
Details of my business isn't really grabs, and I don't know too many dragons that would be appreciative of me talking about their business. So, if it was, you'd want to know.
Yeah, okay. All right. I know what you're putting down. And I will keep the questions to myself moving forward.
Glad you're as much of a professional as I am.
Speaking of professionalism, do you need anything?
No.
You are aware that Samantha does run guns sometimes.
Well, Sam, nothing I think I need just yet. Maybe some ammunition in the near future, but for the moment, we're not looking to stir up much trouble here in Salem anyway. So,
Okay.
I don't think we're needing too much in the weapons.
All
That
right.
could change at any time, and I'm sure you'll see me if it does.
Yeah. The back room is always ready for your perusal. You
And that jump made me stand way on end.
you looking to join the rest of your inner council upstairs?
Yeah, they told me Reaper was looking for me, so
Yeah. Him and Shepard are already upstairs. She comes
excellent.
she comes around the bar as Mick comes back in, barely able to hold the milk crate of beer bottles that he's bringing in. But she kind of puts her little hand towel over his shoulder, gives him a pat that almost sends him to the floor. And then she kind of comes around and takes you behind the single lane where the dartboard is, and she slides open the kind of VIP wall that leads to the special room, and she unlocks it for you. And behind the door is another kind of stairway that goes up a few and then hooks a couple more times to kind of bring you back over the bar. And as you climb up, you hear the door behind you kind of close and lock, and then you hear that heavy sound of the false wall kind of being put back in place. Inside the room, kind of private room that you've been in a couple times before, you can see Johnny, you can see Benny, you can see Greta and Roger. There's a couple of people that aren't part of your herd that are there as well, that are kind of higher ups in the Free Souls. They're not normally in your gravitational pull, so they don't really need any names right now. But as Jonathan sees you come in, his face kind of softens into a smile before it hardens again. And he's like, "I'm glad you can make it, boss."
Sure.
I hate to have pulled in favors like this to get you all here, but things are rough, and I've recently come to understand that my grandmother was taken.
Taken.
Yeah.
Taken by who? Or by about what?
That's the thing. I think I know who did it, and I kind of, I don't know what we can do about it, And you see that he kind of opens a file folder he had, and he slides some pictures of what looks to be this kind of businessman, kind of typical three-piece suit, open vest, but he's in the middle of walking down a street, and some of the other pictures you can see are of a florist shop. And he's like, everything that I've run, every source that I've kind of asked about this, they don't place this guy. He doesn't exist. He's a ghost.
Doesn't exist, or a ghost means may have been called from out of town. Anybody you know have a score to settle with you, Myers?
No.
No one at all.
No one.
Going after your grandmother, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Does she have any enemies we don't know about?
That is...
She spawned someone who spawned you, Jonathan. I want to know.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. And he looks at a few of them that aren't part of the herd, and he kind of hands pictures around, and he's like, if you guys could start kind of trying to figure out where this guy is, I'll bring the rest of them up to speed about who my grandmother was kind of associated with. And the people kind of nod, and just they all say their goodbyes and whatnot, and they tell you about how they'll use the bar as a kind of meeting spot. And as everyone that's not part of your herd leaves, or your ghoul, he kind of looks at you. He's like, my grandmother, she's been the family grandmother for some time, Barker. She's one of you.
Okay, so when you say disappeared, does it look like there were signs of a struggle, like she was taken, or...
No, I've been to her house. There was no fight.
No fight whatsoever?
No, she must have known who this guy is. And he taps the picture.
Is it possible she ran from him? Rather than he has her, she could be in hiding and not want to get you involved.
I doubt it, only because she's always had contingencies whenever she's run in the past. She took care of my mother. She took care of my grandfather. Hell, she's helping with my kid, but she always... So you don't think... She always has a contingency plan. She always has something or someone reach out.
So it's not just a chance that this contingency plan doesn't involve you this time, and that's what's bothering you?
I mean, it might. I have become less planted than in my past.
That could be it. Maybe she just has a hard time getting a hold of you. However, I'm not going to not take this seriously. You understand?
I appreciate that.
What other information can you give me? Where was she last seen? Is there any hints as to where she might have been taken?
From what I understood, she said that she was moving, and not by choice. So I can only assume that something happened between her and whatever counts as your whole political thing. But she was moving out to West Salem. She said she didn't want to leave the city, but that she was being pushed out.
Okay. West Salem. I'm not going to say it's a safe place for her, but there's enough of us there that she could find a new niche if she needs it.
Yeah.
But what on earth would have driven her out?
Yeah, I don't know how things work, but
very convoluted, and that's the way our people like to keep it.
Yeah, I figured. But yeah, this is the only thing that I have to go on. This guy owns the flower shop, I bet, but the flower shop is owned by a shell company, and it's just shell companies, like three in a row.
Different ones every time, or just the same one? Does it seem like it's the same place?
It's no, it's like just a bigger umbrella opens up every time I dig further and further into this guy.
Well, start someplace, probably with your friend here, the suit.
Yeah, yeah. The flower shop is in town somewhere, so I was gonna go over there and see. Uh, but I didn't want to go alone, just in case.
Well, definitely don't go alone, especially if you were going to go inside the place, because we don't know what we're dealing with. I mean, not for nothing, this gentleman, at least he shows up in photos, so he's not some of our kind, but
Mhm.
I don't know. You can't tell from a photo if this man's human or not. That's
Right.
that's not a mistake you want to make up closer in person.
Right.
Well, anything for a brother, I'll follow you on this.
I appreciate that. And you see at that point, Shepard stands up and he's like, "All right, that makes three of us."
No, I know wherever I go, you're dragging along like the left nut. That's why I love you, Ben.
He's like, "Yeah, it's not like I have say in the matter, but family's family, and we chose this
You
one."
always have a say in the matter. It's just one of the says involved maybe dying.
Yeah, yeah. That's not one of my most popular says. So if we can keep that one shut for a while, I'll appreciate that.
I'll most likely not kill you in the morning.
Yeah, back to that. And you see the other guys kind of get up and they start to grab pictures and they start mentioning about how they can help out and things like that. And the Mickey Mouse Club kind of disperses. And as you guys go downstairs, you can see the bar has kind of cleared out, and it's just the four regular patrons that are there. You can see Samantha behind the bar just kind of shaking her head at you.
Mm-hmm. Shaking her head at me.
Yeah.
What did I do this time?
And as you're about to leave, she just kind of yells out, she's like, "You said you weren't going to be spreading any trouble tonight or while you were here, and yet my whole bar just cleared out in the span of 10 minutes.
We're not looking to cause problems tonight, but we are looking to solve a problem. And unless you've seen this woman before, she's not at your bar."
She looks at the picture, at the couple of pictures that you have, and she's like, she was exiled by the prince. That's Gretel Meyer. And as she looks at the picture of the guy, she taps it. She's like, "Yeah, that's the guy who brought evidence against her. That's Andrew Givens. That's not
Gibbon.
That's not something you want to get involved in, Barker."
Loyalty is a damn thing, so I'm a little bit involved already, but I'm looking for answers more than anything else. Red has gone missing.
She leans in and she's like, "Andy, look, this is Tremere business. This has nothing to do with us regular kindred."
Can't conjure a magical flame. This is just something I should be running away from. I'm sorry. She's related to someone who's close to me, and I'm going to find out what happened to her.
All right. He owns a flower shop in downtown, over by Four Corners. You can get some blood petals there for $100. They're useful. They're just expensive as all fuck.
Blood petals.
Yeah. They're a Tremere trick. It's like a fucking secret sauce formula for them. No one wants to tell you how to make them. But it's basically a kind of rose, thick rose that grows with blood infused in it, so you can eat one and kind of calm the beast down a bit.
That does sound like something the Warlocks would pull together.
Yeah.
So this Andrew Gibbons, he's one of them.
Yep. Fucking sucking on the left tit of the Tremere Primogen.
Oh, I'll bet. Sure.
Anything she says jump, and he's already trying to figure out how to fly.
You can do that right off a cliff. All right. Well, thanks for the warning, Sam.
Yeah.
We'll try and keep the trouble out of your bar, I promise.
I appreciate that. I'm just looking out for the 2 humans you got with you.
They're hard blokes. They'll follow me to the hell. They'll follow me right into hell if I ask them to.
Yeah. Well, who knows what's in that florist shop, so... You might get your chance to see hell after all.
Come to think of it, if it's a Tremere we're dealing with, what do you got in the arms department?
Oh, now you want to see what's in the stores?
Well, 10 minutes ago it was a florist, not a Tremere.
Touche. She pats Mick on the chest as she walks by him, motions for you to follow her, and as you go around the corner, there's a jukebox and a little alcove, and right on the wall next to it you see the door that kind of says office, and as you walk in you see a hallway that kind of leads to another door, and then there's a false wall that she opens up that leads to another upstairs room. And
Jesus, man, this place used to be owned by the Nosferatu or what?
I mean, it pays to buy off your contractors.
Good point.
You should see what I got in the basement. And as she continues to walk upstairs, she leads you to a small kind of room, and it just looks like a bargain basement of guns and equipment. Excuse me. There's a loop of rope on a hook somewhere. There's a couple of handguns, some shotguns, and then a couple of M1 Garands that look like they haven't seen action since Vietnam, but they look like they're well taken care of.
Okay. I suppose out of a moment of sentimentality, I'll take a look at one of the Garands, but probably go for one of the smaller shotguns she has, or at least more easily concealable.
Okay. Just sure enough, she hands you the shotgun as you kind of point to it, and she hands you a box of shells. And
pump action breech loader.
A breech loader. Yeah. She's
double barrel or single?
Single. So you want me to put this on your tab?
I believe so. I'll be in town long enough to see it gets paid before I'm gone.
Oh, okay. That's exciting.
You know me, Sam. I try to be a man of my word.
Yeah.
I like to make everybody wrong about me.
I know enough about you that if you're suddenly swept up in some grand adventure, that I can hit up your dad. He pays.
This is true. This is also why I borrow small from you.
You know, he talks about how you don't have a head for business, but you definitely have a head for business.
I have a head for fairness. That's the problem. That's why he never considers it a head for business, because I'm never trying to get ahead. I like to keep my books balanced. I like to keep who I owe paid and who owes me knowing that they owe me.
That's I gotta write that down. That's a good philosophy to have.
It's cocktail napkin philosophy, and you got a bunch of those around here, so I wouldn't waste any more expensive paper than that.
All right. Anything else, or is a shotgun you think going to be enough?
shotgun, pistol. Are there any melee weapons?
Oh, yeah. And you see she opens up a bunch of drawers. There's two on either side of the wall that she opens up, and you can just see a collection of different knives. There's some karambits, there's some kukris, there's an actual like Bowie knives, there's butterfly knives. Like she'll even pull out a butterfly knife and start kind of swinging it open and closed.
Oh, the Balisong, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna particularly fancy. Let me grab one of the Bowies. That karambit just have an absolute backup.
Okay. Sure enough. And you see that as you take the knives, she does kind of go over to what looks like to be a heavy ledger, leather bound, and she pulls on the little flag to open it to the last kind of page, and you see her write some notes down. Like, all right. Now are you all geared up for this war?
Well,
You want a bandana, John Rambo?
maybe for the lower half of my face for right now, but I got those on the bike.
All right.
Well, with the free souls things, this guy's going to know who we are pretty quick, so hiding my face may not even be an option, but I appreciate the concern, Sam.
Okay. Vaya con Dios, or whatever you like to say. And she goes over and she opens the door for you.
Ayakon Ravana.
As you walk outside, you meet up, and the last three bikes that are there belong to Johnny, to Benny, and to you.
Give them the location that I have for the florist shop. I let the obviously John Reaper's a little less in the know than Benjamin, but I let them know that what we might be dealing with is probably one of my kind and probably one of the nastier ones. So if strange things start happening, stuff bursts into flames or something like that, just be aware it's probably this guy Gibbons.
They nod.
I informed Jonathan. I was like, "This is also the man who supposedly brought evidence against your grandmother in the first place. So he was the reason for her exile."
He nods at you. He's like, "Nope. I'm going to be the reason he no longer exists. So that should make us about even."
About even, John. Good to me. Gentlemen, ready?
They both nod and they ignite their bikes. There's a nice sound of just the kind of cacophony of engine roars as all three of your bikes kind of roar to life, and the modern image of these justice riders comes to view as the three of you kind of drive down the street towards the florist shop.
America, fuck yeah.
Yep. If it were 5 years later than now, we could actually play like Kickstart My Heart. That would be a fantastic song to play. But it's 1984, and good music hasn't been invented yet. So
it is not. Well, it did, but it died back there in a puddle of vomit, along with Hendrix, Mama Cass, and some others.
Yeah. So the rebirth is coming, though. But sure enough, I think if there was a song that would be coming on the radio, it would be All Along the Watchtower.
That's some good classic Hendrix right there.
Yeah, since you did mention him. And as you pull up to the florist shop, or the street of the florist shop, how do you guys want to approach the situation?
Well, we're not pulling right up in front of it. Bikes are great when you need to make a statement, but when you need to shut the fuck up, you should probably be parking about a block or two away at least.
Okay.
Making our way towards it on foot.
Making your way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and you're homebound.
Some bitch with a piano going by.
Yep. And now you have that song in your head.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's a burrowing quick earworm, man.
Yeah. So, as you walk on up to the floor shop, are you guys being stealthy about it? Are you just kind of like gonna be nonchalant about it?
Let's go with a little stealth on this one. I mean, this is Tremere we're dealing with. I'm not any looks of mortals in the area, or since the place is closed down for the evening, not dealing with too much on the street.
It actually is not closed down. It is still open, and you can see that there's a couple of people that are kind of walking out of it, but otherwise the other side of the street is kind of empty, as the other storefronts have closed. There's a couple here and there that are open late. The florist is one of them.
So the people leaving. You said a couple of people are leaving the florist right now.
Yeah, it looks like they have
Alright.
a bouquet of roses.
Does it look like one of those bouquets of blood petals that people described earlier, or just a nice big thick thing of roses?
From this distance, you can't tell.
Okay.
You don't know if it might be like a couple of them that have been stealthily placed within a bouquet of regular roses, but it just looks like a clump of red roses.
Okay. Well, we'll hang back and slow up a little bit. We'll let them get out of there. I don't know if they're leaving on foot or
Yeah.
what they're.
Yeah,
it's
they
a
seem
car or whatever.
they
Yeah,
seem
we'll
to
let 'em
walk off for about a block or so, and then you can
Mhm.
hear a car turn over.
Okay. So, I guess we'll approach. I think we'll approach the front of the shop.
Okay, you can
The
see.
place is open.
Yeah, there's a gentleman inside. Does not look like Andrew Givens. He is thin, kind of wiry, well kept appearance. His hair is kind of slicked back. He has a bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, and he kind of has just his sleeves rolled up and a big kind of florist apron in the front, but jeans and work boots. And as you kind of like stand outside, he takes notice of you and he kind of waves.
I'll approach.
You hear the little bell go off as the door opens, and he's like, "Evening, evening. How can I help you, gentlemen? Looking for something for your missus?"
Ha. No misses. Not in my life. Not just yet.
Hmm.
If ever. No, I've actually been looking for, well, not just some flowers, but I've actually been looking. Actually, yes, I would like to get some flowers for a very good friend of mine. Old lady, she actually recently had to move, and well, I figure I'd be getting her a condolence present for her new locale.
Oh, okay. What are you looking for? Tulips, some chrysanthemums. How dreary do you want to make this bouquet? Or do you want to make it the opposite, just like a little thing to brighten her life?
We'll make it something dreary. Put some nice deep red roses in, tulips. What was that? Tell me about it the other day. It was the latest grade. Call them blood petals.
We have some in stock. We can wrap them in a wreath of other roses if you'd like. How many petals in particular would you like for this gift?
Just 2 or 3, just in case.
Okay. You see him kind of open up a different ledger than the one that's on the desk. And he's like, "We can definitely do 3 if that's what you're looking for."
And can I get these personalized?
Of course. He slides a card over to you. Let me go get these for you. Do you want these by themselves, or do you want them kind of engrossed in a dozen of regular roses?
Let's engross them in a dozen. No need to make them too visible.
Of course, of course. And you see him he rings up some stuff on the register, and then he prints out a receipt, and he kind of pulls it and puts it down next to the card that he gave you. He kind of slides a pen over to you, and it looks like the total for the bouquet is going to come out to $350. But you see him kind of walk over to a door that says office in the back, and he opens it, and it almost looks like a photographer's developing room. You can see that there's like a red light behind it. You can just see these kind of hanging flowers, and it does kind of suddenly smell as the door opens of something acrid and kind of citrusy.
Okay.
And as he goes into the room, you hear the little bell over the front door, and you can see Benny and Jonathan kind of walking in.
Motion them over.
They walk over.
Signal, or I'll signal Benny to get he can act like he's browsing, but get a little closer to the door where the office where the gentleman went back for the blood petals.
Okay.
Is there a way to tell if that guy was a K-Knight himself?
If he is, it's gonna be difficult because you could see that he was breathing, but you could do that with Blush of Life. You could rouse the blood to kind of be human. He did look like there was some pink in his extremities and whatnot. Give me a wits awareness. So that'll be again the 5 regular dice and the 1 hunger dice.
So these will be the 5 regular dice first.
Okay.
3, a 9, a 5, a 9, and a 10.
Okay, so 3 successes so far.
Mm-hmm. And the hunger die.
Yep.
9.
Right, 4 successes. He did have a little bit of a pale kind of crown around the edges of his face. Like there's moments where the breathing wasn't regular, so you're assuming that he is a K-Knight.
Okay. All right. While I still have that pen in the card, I'll start writing a very short but sweet message to Greta Meyer.
Okay. He comes back, and he kind of he sees Benny, and he nods to him. And he's like, "I'll be right with you, sir. Just finishing up with the gentleman." And Benny kind of nods at him. But he comes over. He's got a bouquet, or he's got the 3 kind of blood petals, and you can see just how thick they really are now that they're in front of you.
What type of flower do they even look like? Like it's a rose, you said, or
it looks like a very genetically fat rose. Like the petals are just kind of engorged, almost like
the Queen of Hearts and Alice in Wonderland kind of thing.
Yeah, like they look like they instead of being petals, like you wouldn't be surprised if like the tip of the petal ended up being like a tick's kind of mouth. Like they're that engorged. And as he brings in the other kind of 9 regular roses, he dresses it all up in a bouquet. He wraps it up. He puts a bow on it. And he's like, "All right, and how would you like to pay, sir?"
Well, first I'd like you to check. My eyes aren't quite what they used to be. Mind looking over this note for me?
Sure. What would you like it to say? And you see that he starts to read it.
I'd just like it to say, "Mrs. Greta Meyer, I hope this card finds you well. Better than the man I bought it from."
You see him visibly kind of shift in his demeanor, and he kind of gently places the card down on the counter. He's like, I don't want any trouble."
No one ever does. But luckily for you, I'm not necessarily looking for trouble tonight. I'm actually looking for someone. You see, if I was going to have these flowers delivered, I don't exactly know where I'd be having them delivered, but I have it on fairly good authority. Someone of your people may know where I can find my friend Greta.
I am not privy to what my Dometer does with his lifestyle.
Dometer?
I
Lifestyle?
I only
What do you got back there behind blood petals?
I only handle the requests and the flower shop.
Do you know where I can find your boss then?
He would most likely be at the Chantry House, sir. And that's not a place any who are uninvited should go. At this point, you see Johnny kind of lose his temper, and he pulls a gun on him.
Oh, Johnny. Now you see what you've done, my friend? Now he's armed. He really wants to know. Yeah, I told you Greta's important to me, but Greta's really important. Well, we know most of your clan members don't really think too highly of the newbies, so might want to adjust your answer just a little bit. Are you sure you only handle the requests for the flower shop? Have you had to send any to any new locations lately?
He kind of looks at the gun, and you see him smile. And as he does, you can see the fangs kind of elongate slightly. He's like, guns don't really do what they do to regular people. You and I should know this, sir.
It's only to stop you long enough for me to get a hold of you.
And as you say that, you just hear the thunder crack as Johnny lets loose the gunshot. And there's a moment where you don't catch him, but you kind of see him sidestep the bullet almost supernaturally fast. And you have celerity, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so you know it's definitely a use.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the use of celerity.
Huh? Well, it looks like we gonna kill ourselves a Tremere.
And with that same kind of movement, you see him reach under the counter, and he pulls a machete. And now we get to roll initiative.
First combat in 14. It's like waking up from torpor.
Yeah. So, given your wits and composure is a 5 die pool, we're gonna roll 4 regular dice and then 1 hunger dice.
Okay. Now I can roll them all at the same time. I got the hunger die picked out.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay. The hunger die was a 5, and I got a 3, 4, 7, and 5.
Okay, so 1 success. Wow.
Yeah.
Benny and Jonathan are gonna go first, then you, and then the Tremere.
I thought I had combat nasty lasties on this one.
No. So you see that Benny kind of looks to you for to kind of tell whether or not he should go all out.
I'm pulling that big honking Bowie knife, so
Okay. So yeah, so
that should be a signal to him.
Yeah, so if he sees you pull the knife, then he's definitely going to pull a knife as well. And he's going to start to lunge and throw himself at the Tremere. Ooh, boy. I love not having to worry about hunger dice with mortals.
Then he just trip over his own shoelaces.
No, no. He actually got a really good roll. Oof. So you see that as he lunges forward to take a swipe at this Tremere, you see the Tremere's eyes suddenly flare red, and there's a moment where you realize that whatever this Tremere wanted to do, you recognize that the beast has kind of latched onto control to the driver's seat for just a brief moment. And as you see the hand kind of come up to swipe, there's a moment where you see the hand both hands just kind of open in this grasping motion, and he comes down and he grabs Benny. You see him just kind of bite into the top of his shoulder and just start to feed off of him. This shakes Jonathan a little bit, so I'm going to give him a 2 dice penalty. And you see that it's just the gunshot goes wide as he doesn't want to hit Benny, and he's also kind of never seen this. Like, he knows
what's up.
He knows what's up because he's part of your herd. Like, he's felt you feed off of him. He's never seen it. And
he's never seen it with this kind of violence, no less.
Yeah. And so this kind of just shakes him, and you see that he takes a step back, and the bullet just kind of hits the back of the florist wall, and you can see that a helium container is just kind of like spewing out helium into the room. You can just hear the hiss of just this small kind of funnel, this dragon's breath cone of just this small cone of just helium now being pumped into the room. How would you like to
get a clear shot? Take it.
How would you like to take your turn?
Well, aside from the obvious helium gag, if you get a clear shot, take it. I will tell it to Jonathan, but I already have the Bowie knife pulled, so
yeah.
I'm gonna try and get the Tremere under the armpit, like where he's grappling my guy. Actually, like his arms like around him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pulling it. All right, so while his arms are wrapped up, whichever armpit's closer to me, I'm jamming the Bowie knife right up under there.
Okay. That would normally be a dexterity and melee roll. So you have 5 dice. Do you want to rouse the blood to increase your dice pool?
Yes. I got to start getting used to some of the new mechanics. So.
Okay. So you're gonna roll 1 dice by itself, 6 or higher.
8.
8. So you do it without increasing your hunger. I was hoping that you would get hungrier, so we can throw some more hunger dice into your pool, but you don't.
Give me time. I'm sure to fuck up soon.
Oh, for sure. So now you've increased your physical stats. So your physical stats are now strength 5, dexterity 5, stamina 4. So you're gonna roll 5, 6, 7 total dice. So 6 regular and 1 hunger.
So for the first 5 dice,
yeah,
you said it was 7 total, right?
7 total dice.
7 total, yeah. All right, so the first 5. We have a 9, 6, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, so 2 successes so far.
Okay, and I'm rolling the last 2, and one of them is the hunger die.
Yeah.
6, hunger die 4.
Okay. So you've got 3 successes so far. You have 3 non-successes on your regular dice. One of the cool things that you can do in this system is that you could take a point of willpower damage, superficial damage, to reroll up to 3 regular dice, up to 3 regular non-hunger dice. Would you like to do that to try and get a better score?
I might as well.
Okay. So we'll mark your superficial damage, and now reroll those 3. And let's see if we get anything higher.
A 9, an 8, and a 4.
Yeah, so 2 more successes gives you 5 total successes. He cannot dodge you because he's
kind of hard
otherwise
if he's tied up with something. Yeah, he's otherwise occupied.
Yeah, So you're gonna do. Oh, well, hot damn! You're doing 5 plus 1 on for the knife, so you're doing 6 damage to him.
Oof.
It is superficial, so he halves it, so he only takes 3. He is unhappy, and as soon as you dig this knife into into the top of his rib cage, you can feel it sliding against that bone, and you can you can almost feel the kind of tack of the kind of back ridge of the bowie knife kind of clipping that shoulder blade that he has back there. And he lets out a scream, kind of drops Benny. Benny holds his wound as he kind of backs away, but at the same time, he does take a swipe at him. So he'll lose 2 dice as well. But he does score 1 success, so he does 1 more point of damage to this Tremere as he kind of cuts up towards his thigh. The Tremere kind of just is like wheeling back against the canister. You can see that he's kind of hobbled back. He's got one hand on his thigh. He's kind of like closed the arm where you kind of stabbed into him.
Right. Well, he's clamping down over the wound.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said he moved over towards the canister.
Yeah, and you can just hear him. I don't have what you're looking for.
Well, that's a crying shame. I'll look over to I'll look over to Jonathan, gesture towards the canister, and gesture to everyone to start backing away.
Yeah. Benny kind of like starts to scramble towards his feet, and he starts backing off. All of you guys kind of back up towards the door, and sure enough, Jonathan just kind of levers his hands forward and just opens fire, and the Tremere kind of slides over thinking that he's the target, and as it kind of punctures the helium canister, you just see all that compressed air suddenly just explode outward, covering this guy in just a shotgun of shrapnel. And there's a small kind of burst of fire that swirls upwards in this very kind of cinematic look of this almost dragon spew, the spout that kind of shoots upward and covers the entire ceiling almost instantly, and you see that the florist shop is starting to burn.
How far is that? How far was the door with those the blood petals or whatever he was, or where he actually went for those flowers?
It is on what would be the north side of the store, and you're currently on the south side of the store. Like, Benny does kind of like throw himself down, but he reaches forward, grabs the bouquet, and starts to run back towards the door.
But does it look like that? I have a chance to get to that back room real quick. Take a glance before the whole place catches.
Oh, easy. If you just want to take a look, yes. If you want,
I'm not looking to like collect it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not looking for their blood. Yeah, I'm not looking for their whole blood collection, but I want to take a quick glance back there at least.
Yeah, rifling through it will eat up a lot of time. But yeah, if you go back there and you look, you'll see that there is a kind of set of tiered soil embankments. They're kind of set up on desks, on a tiered set of desks, and you can just see small kind of roses kind of like starting to bloom in different states of growing, but you can see that the irrigation system looks to be these kind of wires that spiderweb out behind the desks and around the rest of the wall towards the central wall, where you can see that there is a kind of human that just has all of these wires kind of like going into its insides, like where the sternum ends and the stomach begins, like they all kind of clump into a cluster inside there, and you can just see them kind of like they're pumping the blood out of it and into these roses. And the guy is just kind of like, there's a little medical bag that looks to be what is keeping him induced in some comatose state. Like even when you open the door, and like the orange and red and yellow of this fire is kind of like creating these vivid kind of images in this otherwise darkened room, the guy kind of looks up, and there's like a hazy, dreamlike look as he kind of sees the colors behind you, doesn't even acknowledge you, and the mouth just kind of slacks open, and there's a little bit of drool that starts to come out. And that's when you can see that the guy kind of has his head shaved. There's scarring all along some of the frontal lobe area. This looks like if he was experimented on and then he was ghouled to kind of keep him in this state of just kind of continual blood pumping, and just
for through this.
Yeah, like this is horrendous and inhuman. This is something that you've only seen this kind of experimentation once, and it was back before you were embraced.
I'm pulling the pistol and putting one in his head, just to put him out.
All right.
Immediately. Like there's no need for that.
Yeah.
And more importantly, were there any other ledgers or any other paperwork in the back room? Anything we can grab, because we already have the ledgers up front that we could. Hopefully they haven't already started to burn. We can grab them when we get out of here.
Yeah, Jonathan has them.
2 different ones.
Yeah, Jonathan already picked them up.
Okay, good. Jonathan's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Anything back here? It looks like it adds to it. Any notebooks, perhaps, over near our now deceased friend?
There is no notebooks, but there is what looks to be a legal pad of annotated time logs, and it kind of looks like when his bags are, and his kind of colostomy bags, like whenever there's a kind of cleansing or feeding, there's annotations of it there.
Okay, so it still may be useful later, so we'll grab it. I mean, obviously you're gonna remember what we said, and now I think it's time we get the fuck out of there before it burns.
Oh yeah, like one of the big things that kind of draws your attention to the legal pad is that some of the things that some of the some of the lines where it shows that he's been fed have the initials AG. And that's kind of what drew your attention to kind of grabbing it. But sure enough, yeah. And sure enough, as you three kind of make your way out, you can see that there's a crowd of people that have started to gather as this whole store is coming to a raging inferno of an ending. But you also notice it's the only thing on fire. The fire does not spread to the other stores.
Stores are attached, or this whole like one long storefront thing. Okay, so it still manages to just be contained to the floor as a job.
Yeah, and you've heard that there are some wards that'll protect Tremere homes and Tremere havens and whatnot. And so this is what you imagine it must look like to protect from when it's turned against itself. Like this might have protected them from fire
on the outside, but when the fire started within, now it actually contains it because it's wow.
Yeah. And so the three of you have, although you haven't found Gretel Meyer or Andrew Givens, you have a great start to helping out Jonathan find out what happened to his grandmother.
All right.
And as you kind of regroup back at the last call, you notice that your sire is there. And as he is kind of talking with Sam, you see that she's mid-laugh. He's kind of got him, her and the barback kind of in stitches. Just, he has this drink in front of him, and you see as you enter, he kind of takes a sip and he stands up. He comes over, he kind of pats you on the shoulders like I guess a sign of acknowledgement, and he gives you a quick hug.
Bartley, how have you been?
Yeah. It has been some time, Mr. Barker.
Not long enough as ever.
I hope you have a healthy appetite. We have a meeting tomorrow with Miss Yvette Morrison.
Meeting with Yvette.
Yeah.
Keep my appetite sharp then.
Yes, things are looking very interesting as we move forward. I think we're going to be in Salem for some time. And as he sees Benny, Sam kind of looks over. Mick kind of gasps, and she immediately is like, "Hey, go clean out the bathrooms. I'll take care of this." And she comes over, and you see that she looks at him and she's like, "This is gonna hurt a bit, but it's the only way that I can help you heal this." And you see her kind of match her fangs to the wound, and she bites in. And then as she pulls out, you see her kind of lick the wound, and the gashes kind of disappear. There's a moment of hesitation, and then Benny just succumbs to the kiss. And as she pulls away and licks him, there's a moment where he kind of shudders and kind of brings his elbow, not his elbow, like his shoulder up to his ear to kind of show discomfort. But at that point, you do see Bartley kind of laugh. And he's like, "It has been some time since Benny has known the touch of a woman, it looks like. Come, let us go find him a whore." And you see him laugh, and he's just like, no, I'm all right, thanks.
I'll get yourself a game of 2-ball then, Benny.
He nods, and he kind of puts the ledger on the bar. Jonathan puts his ledgers on the bar. He's like, I hope that something in here tells us where we're going. And he looks at you. He's like, I'm sorry for my hesitation. That's just
first time for everything, Jonathan. You hadn't had to deal with that before.
Yeah.
Now you just remember that in the future, and make sure those fangs aren't aimed at you. Because that could have been you just as easily as that was Benny.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna get us a drinks, and
I'll be talking to Sam and Bartley here.
Yeah. And sure enough, the three of you go into her office, and this is where we'll leave you, so that we will introduce you to the rest of the coterie in a couple of weeks, because they are at the meeting with Yvette Morrison, where you are going to be coming in after they leave. So, I would like to thank everyone that tuned in and watched this episode. As always, please wash your hands, keep your distance, wear your masks in public, and try to help each other out. Take care of each other. And it's been a rough year, and some of us have dealt with it better than others. And just know that if you need help, that you can always ask your friends or family. There's no shame in reaching out. And if you are friends or family members of somebody that has always appeared strong to you, kind of reach out. It doesn't cost anything to kind of give a phone call, say hello, and drop a line, and that might change someone's entire outlook on life. So it always helps to reach out, because we are the life rafts of our friends. And just know that if you can't reach out to friends or family, that there's no shame in looking for professional help. We all need help in some way, shape, or form. And if we take care of our bodies, that includes our mental health. So, again, if you need professional help, there's no shame in it. Go out and find it. And sometimes if you're in chat and you think that you need to talk to one of us, we can stick around after the game and kind of sit down and talk to you. So don't be afraid to reach out to any of us. But with that being said, I hope that you enjoyed yourselves. I know that I'm looking forward to seeing how the 3-on-3 situation turns out between our Camarilla and our Anarch game. And as always, you can catch me on Wednesdays for our L5R game. You can catch me on Fridays for our Star Wars game. And if not, I will see you next week with our Camarilla group. Until then, be safe and good night.